Hey guys, today I'll be showing you how I make my mutton curry. For this I'll be using mutton meat, of course, as well as one big onion, one big green pepper, 4 tomatoes, 2 jalapeno peppers, 1 garlic head, and a handful of carrots. And then I'll be just seasoning my meat using barbecue spice, 1 teaspoon of barbecue spice, 1 teaspoon of curry powder, 1 teaspoon of crushed rosemary, and about a teaspoon of black pepper. First, I'm just going to chop up my meat into like bite sizes. Usually when you do have time, I didn't have like a lot of time, because I have to sort of like I have a lot to do. I'm a new mom. But what you can do is you can remove some of the fat from the meat. If you don't like your meat a little fatty, I honestly just love mine with a little bit of fat, so I just chopped it the way it is. I usually just decant some of the fat once my meat is cooked, so I just decant whatever fat there is like on the top. So I'm just chopping up my meat now, and I'm going to leave some of the meat on the bone. You know what they say, the bone is honestly my favorite part. Do you know the saying that says the closer to the bone the nicer? And I totally agree with that. The bone is my favorite part. It's the nicest, so it is what it is. Okay, I'm done chopping, so I'm just going to heat up my pan and add a little bit of olive oil, and then just add my meat and sort of like just fry it a little bit. And then I'll be adding half of the onion, the one big onion that I chopped up, half of that garlic, half of everything actually, because I'll show you what I'll be using the other veggies that I'll be putting aside for. So I'm adding my onions now, adding a little bit of my garlic and my seasonings, curry powder, crushed rosemary, and the barbecue spice, and just sort of like mixing it up. Also, I'll be adding a little bit of ginger because it helps just bring the flavors together. So after adding everything, I'll just cook it for a little bit. I'm not going to add any water. I just had to transfer my contents to a bigger pot that I can actually close. I was supposed to do everything on this pot actually. It's just that it's a long pot, so it makes it very hard for me to sort of like capture the contents inside that pot. So that's why I sort of like just started on the pan. But back home, if you are trying this, just use one pot, the one that you'll be able to close right away. Yes, so this is like how it is supposed to be looking. You are not supposed to add any water, just close it up and it will sort of like just cook on its own, cook on its own juices. Make sure your heat is on medium, for about 20 minutes. Alright, so now I'm just going to heat up my pan again, put a little bit of oil, and put that half an onion that I was telling you about. I'm just going to put half of the veggies that I had not added on my pot with the lamb, and just fry for a little bit. Now I'm just adding the green peppers, and just frying for a little bit as well, just so that the flavors of the garlic and onion and green peppers can come together. And then I'm going to add my curry powder and the rosemary. After that, I'll go ahead and then add my tomatoes and just fry this up. Fry this up on medium for about 40 minutes. Let's just take a quick peek on the lamp. It's coming up all right. It smells amazing. So yes, I'm just basically going to be frying this and cooking this for about 40 minutes. So cooking the vegetables like this and for that long, it helps like for the onions to actually reduce the acidity of your tomatoes. You do know how acidic cold tomatoes can be, so this just sort of like helps neutralize that acidity. So I'll just be cooking this, stirring every now and again, and I just added my jalapeno peppers. It's totally up to you. You don't have to use jalapeno peppers at all. They are a little hot. It really just depends. In this case, the two that I used didn't make my food hot at all. But I just love to use like something that will bring out that hotness a little bit. So it's all up to you. I sometimes I use this with a little bit. I use like red peppers if I really want my food to be hot, but now I don't really have the luxury of making hot food because I have like a little baby who eats with us as well. So this is just how your vegetables like the tomato and vegetable is supposed to look like over time. So just keep on stirring, patient stirring every now and again until it is well cooked. This is actually a great way of kwanzisa umshibo without actually using soups and things like that. It is. I just came across this when I was looking up at Nigerian stews. A lot of them they use like a lot of tomatoes, and I avoided tomatoes for their acidity. And once I just discovered that you can actually reduce the acidity of tomatoes by cooking them in onions for so long, I was like, oh my god, I have to try this with my stews. Okay, my vegetables look nice and cooked, so I'm just going to go ahead and transfer this into my blender. You can just use whatever, whether it's a hand blender or whatever you have, but I have this, and I'll be using the so this is basically how my vegetables look, and I'm going to go for that soup puree option because I don't want them too smooth. And then let me just open this up so you can see how my puree will be looking like, and you don't have to blend for the longest time also. Now I'm going to take these contents and add to my already cooked mutton meat. I closed the stove a long time ago once it was cooked. I don't like overcooking my mutton. And then just add it and sort of like mix it up and add like your carrots and green peppers for that extra crunch. And then you can add maybe about half a cup of water at this point because this puree is already thick enough, if you don't have enough broth from your mutton. And then season with salt. You can add that touch of sugar if that's what you like, but I love cooking my curries that way. And close it up, let it simmer for about 10 minutes, and after 10 minutes you can just serve. Oh my goodness, you guys definitely have to try this. I think this is like the best curry I've made thus far. Once my mutton was cooked, I served it with rice and some kale, and it was delicious. Definitely try this, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe to my channel for more. This is Tandega bringing you a taste of Eswatini in California.